couldn't get a better one. I really come alive when surf salmon fishing comes into its own. I love being near the sea, and one of the reasons is that it's constantly changing, and if there are some big salmon around, they're never fresher, so they're my target. And today I'd just like to share some of the secrets that I've learned over the many years that I've gone chasing these little beasties, just to help you along your way. The most important thing is for you to get a rod which is nice and light and powerful so that you can use it for the whole day. We have a bottom mount on it, and this is for a very good reason. It means that as you're putting away your many hours, you can set this rod butt down close to where you are with the reel seated there and just wind. Your arm turns straight. It's very easy to do. Otherwise, you've got your wrist like this tucked under your arm, or it feels very uncomfortable. So totally my advice, a bottom mounted reel. And of course, we use one of these styles of reels. This is a free spool reel. And this particular model here is one I've been using this year. Much smaller than the conventional salmon reels I've used in the past, but absolutely beautifully smooth. Very easy to cast with, gives me great distance, and I'm a braid user. Why would I use braid on salmon? Well, here's the reasons. It casts further. You see, I've got on there 65-pound breaking strain braid. Shock, fancy, why that much strength in your braid? Well, it's actually not about the strength of the braid, it's all about its diameter. Because according to the manufacturer, that has a diameter of 0.21 of a millimetre. Now, those of you who know your facts know that 10 kg line is generally 0.4 of a millimetre. So if it's half the diameter, I'm going to be able to cast a considerable amount further. Not only that, if the wind's blowing or the current's running, it's more direct. Being thinner, I'm closer to the end of the business end of my lure, where of course the salmon are going to bite. And of course the ultimate fabulous thing about braid, no stretch, or next door to no stretch. So when I set a hook, I set a hook. I don't have to worry about fighting it on a bungee cord or a big bit of elastic nylon. So I'm sold on it. Now of course the right kind of lure is very important. We want to make sure that the salmon is attracted to our lure and not someone else's, or worse still, nobody's lure. So I have a variety of different colours that I have. Now some of them have got racing stripes on them. I just think they go faster. Bit of a joke. And I have them in a way where they're weighted towards the front. Now these weight forward ticers are very good for casting because they don't tend to tumble. If there is no weight forward section, they can hit the wind and cause overruns on your reel. Well, no one wants to have problems. We're out there to have fun. Of course, we need to select the appropriate weight depending on the type of day. The colour also depends on the time of day and the clarity of the water. I tend to use the brighter colours when the water's a bit murky or it's early morning. I want them to get a good look at what I've got. On a really bright sunny day, I use the stuff that's really glinty, like this, because it has a real sheen and flash. I want that fish to see it from as far away as possible. Of course, the hook is the business end. And in years gone by, when I started to lose salmon, I used to go bigger and bigger. And you know what? I lost more and more. So my advice to you is get a reasonably small hook. Normally I use a size 2 or a size 1 hook. Really sharp. Make sure it's absolutely razor sharp, because you want to make sure that when you get your bite, you catch your fish. Nothing worse than talking about the one that got away.
It's a new one. Oh, it's freaking awesome. Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Lovely fighting fish. Here's an essential part of a surf angler's kit. It's your blow up life jacket. They're great things because they don't occupy too much space, but They're there for that unexpected wave or that situation where you get knocked into the drink. Salmon are not worth losing your life over. So wear one of these. They're inexpensive these days, and they give you great protection. I'm ready to go. Yeah, it's salmon all right. It's really important when we surf salmon fishing that you feel comfortable in your casting. And this is one of the areas that I've really enjoyed over the years, though I've seen a lot of people struggle. So I'm going to try and give you a few of the pointers that I've picked up just to make things easier for you. Now, casting is all about moving an object in a straight line. And what we're trying to do is take our ticer, our slice, and put it up at an angle of 45 degrees. Now that's the optimum for distance. And just like as if you were a cricketer in the outfield or a javelin thrower, what you're trying to do is get all the energy moving down a straight line. And that's what I'm looking to do here. If you've got a nice clear beach, then of course you can use the old side swipe technique, and you work along only throwing the rod up on that 45 degree angle to get the maximum distance you possibly can. Keep your thumb somewhere close to the reel so that it doesn't flare up. And if it does start to flare up, just be quite gently put down some downforce onto it just to slow it down. And of course, when it hits the water, it's imperative that you put your thumb on there. Make sure you've got no loose line at the other end. Now, in many occasions, you're fishing very close to people on either side, and it's not possible to do the side swipe technique. So in that case, you need to come over the top. But again, when we do our casting, it's all about pushing that line up, putting the lure up at 45 degrees over the top. Now here's the most powerful way to cast. Our bodies, when they're rotated, generate a lot of energy. The longer you can apply a force as an increasing amount of energy in a straight line, the further you're able to cast it. You do not want to shock the rod. You want something to be very smooth. So you want to come back from as far as you can, twist your hips. First thing you do is straighten your hips around and then move the rod through. Moving the rod through at working up to a 45 degree angle. The very last thing you do is pull down with your left hand to give the final bit of flick. Well, it's early morning here at the Hiranui River mouth, and there's been a few salmon around, and so the faithful are out early. One of the keys is to get here for the first 2 or 3 hours. It seems to fish better that way, and right on that change of light, it's good to get a bit of a feel of what the river's doing, how it's all flowing, and hopefully you can catch one of those early salmon. Now, one of the reasons we fish right on change of light, and particularly in that first 2 or 3 hours, is because the fish seem much more readily able to bite. They see this lure moving past, and it's in that sort of dimmish light, and they don't seem near as scared as they do later on in the day. Once the sun gets up, it's much harder to catch them, so we like to take advantage where we possibly can. Sits on top of the salt. In the river, you'd be fishing the bottom. The reel I've got here is 6.4 to 1 in stream ratio, and you can see I'm winding quite fast. Salmon are a fast-moving fish, so they have no trouble catching up with it. In the sea, they sit high in the water. Remember, keep it moving quite fast. Another important bit of water here is where the river is flowing into the sea. Now, the salmon like to be near the smell of the fresh water, so I'm all the time wanting to hammer that water that looks sort of slightly oily and curly as the river goes in. Not necessarily in the dead water, but in the water that's got a lot of movement of current, just as we see out in front of us here. I've ever had. Got a hump. Let's let him go.
Okay.
Come here, we are easy. So, fine. Treat it like it's a trick. Show you that it isn't. You gotta come to it. Right, off you go. Good call!
Woohoo, that's awesome!
I'll tell you what, that's alright, no. Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh no, maybe wrong. It's coming too fast.
Blue card. Woohoo!